All right. I asked you to share what was your why, but right now I want to talk about um your job description. if you, how many pages would it take if you made a job description for VBS director? It would be long. Uh, but because we wear so many hats, we do so many things, um, and we never know what's going to come our way. And it's a lot of responsibility. It's an incredible privilege. But it's always exciting. I know that for sure. Um, but it doesn't just happen. We have to get in there and follow, do VBS. And what does it take? Come on, there we go. It takes a prayer warrior. We can't do it without that. We need God there. Takes a visionary, being able to see outside of the box what VBS can be for your community. A goal setter, somebody that can say, this is what we're striving for. A planner, it takes great planning and organization. Whoa, does VBS need organization? And being a team leader, we got to be able to work well with others. So all of these things are what we need. And that can be overwhelming to think, do I have all of these qualities? Can I get it all done? But we want to make sure we can do the best things so that we can lay a great foundation for our VBSs and our volunteers. And that's what this webinar is designed to do. It's to help you with that. So what is your why for VBS at church? Did anybody put anything in the chat about what is your why? I know we all have this why, that we want to lead kids to desire a personal relationship with Christ. That's our main goal, is to bring kids to Christ. We also want to make sure we impact them and grow those that are already know Christ by teaching truths through age-appropriate Bible study. Another why is to impact families. Families are in such deep trouble these days. We need to be making positive impacts on families. And of course, we want to do Bible study for all ages. So some of us even may do Bible school for all the way through adults. So keep looking and thinking about, what's your why? Is it one of these, or is there something else that you'd like to share with us as we go along? But we're going to talk about the 5 tasks, and you got to start somewhere. And of course, you start with planning. And VBS planning is overwhelming sometimes. And you need to start 6 to 9 months ahead of time. So some of us are behind the 8 ball here. We haven't gotten started, but start early. Get it. That's when we should have already had some plans in place. And if this jump starts you, that's great. But don't start without praying. We need God's direction and organization. And nothing has a bigger influence on our VBSs than prayer. And make sure you get your whole church praying. Think about those people that they can't help you with VBS, but everyone can pray. And just a note, the National Day of Prayer for VBS is May 19th. So put that in your calendar. Set goals. So look at what your VBS did in last year, and or maybe even other previous VBSs, and set a few specific goals towards improving. Maybe registration was a mess, and that's where you need to set your goals. Maybe you did your rotations didn't work well. Whatever it is, set a goal for that so that you can get there. If this is your first year to be a director and you really aren't sure, ask. There's plenty of people that worked it that will help you with that. Be sure to delegate. If we try to run the show, and I speak from experience here, we're not being a team player or a team leader. We need to delegate responsibilities so others can feel like they're invested, and we don't need to burn out. So create a team to help you in every facet of VBS. Pull your best prayer on the team. Pull your best promoter, whatever, all those different people that you need. Pull them onto your team to so that you're not doing it all. And stay focused. VBS is great. It has so many wonderful, exciting things, and the decorations and all of those things. But we have to keep our focus on the main things and not get distracted. We need to be sharing the gospel and building relationships. Those are the two main things we need to be doing as we start this planning. But planning has processes. So we're going to kind of go over those processes and see if that will help you to think about some things you need to do. Excuse me, I've been fighting a little sinus issue. So you've got to calendar things. So write down everything you can think of that needs to be done. If you have an administrative guide or for whatever VBS you're doing, write down as many things, and then get your calendar out and say, okay, this needs to be done so many weeks before, so many months before, and get it is everything in there. Make that comprehensive list and then decide when it needs to be done. Some things you need to make sure you set dates are your planning process dates and your training dates. You need to train your volunteers. If you're going to have a kickoff or some kind of registration event, you need to get it on the calendar. If you have a prep day where all your people come and help work on it, get that on the calendar. A prayer walk, get that on the calendar. If you're going to have a family night celebration event at the end of it, get it on the calendar. The calendar, because if you don't, somebody will put something on top of it. Create a budget. Now, we don't do VBS because we love budgeting, but it's vital that as a director, you do that. It gives structure and helps you define the priorities of VBS. Every church budgets differently. So you may not be responsible for how much you have, but you're responsible for how you spend what you have. So you need to make the best use of it. Use last year's expense records to just give you a starting point of where the money has gone previously, and then decide where it needs to go. And then stretch it. Your church members will donate. They'll donate for crafts, they'll donate for snacks, they'll donate for classroom supplies. partner with churches near you to share curriculum or decorations. Have a volunteer contact local businesses for contributions. Even challenge adult Sunday school classes to sponsor a class or a rotation or something. Get creative as you create a budget. Format. Think about what worked last year, what didn't work last year, in the way your VBS was formatted. Think about the age groups you are going to include and how many classes you're going to need for all those age groups. How long are you going to do VBS? How many days? How many hours? What time of the day? Everybody, there's many ways to do VBS. Traditional 5-day with either morning, afternoon, or evening, once a week throughout the summer. Maybe you do a 1-day VBS or a weekend VBS. So make those decisions so you can get all of that on your calendar. And then think about what you're going to do with rotations and things. And that sometimes is dependent on your church's size and the space you have. You may be limited that you can't do as many rotations, or you have to get creative about the way you do them, and how you're going to do it. If you're going to do what some of us consider a normal rotation schedule, where you have a worship rally, then you have Bible studies by ages, and then you rotate around to the different sites, crafts and music and recreation and snacks and all those things. Or maybe you rotate your leaders around. Or you do a self-contained classrooms where everything is handled in the classroom. Or maybe you put Bible study as one of the rotations. So there's many options out there, and I don't have time to give you all the good points and the bad points about each one, and they all have their good points. So pray about it, pray about it, pray about it. Then make a schedule. When you know what formats you're going to use, then create a schedule with when you're going to do what, so that you can post it so that everybody is on the same page. And as you think about it, remember the most important element of VBS is Bible study. So just think about all those things you're deciding in your format and create that schedule. You know, whether you do 3 hours or 2.5 hours, and how long your rotations will be, how long your Bible study, all of those things have to go into making that schedule. And order curriculum. Whatever curriculum you use, but we're very partial to Lifeway, but whatever it is, you need to order it. And you need to start those purchases 4 to 6 months out, because you need it to prepare. All right, that was a whole lot to say. And if we're gonna we've planned, now we got to get to work. Task 2: enlist and train your leaders. We have got to start in the right place. I'm going to tell you to pray often, because that's where we lay our foundation. We need all those things I talked about before. but we don't have a Bible school without volunteers. And we need to train them, because they're only going to be as good as they are trained. So as you're recruiting, enlisting, you need to make sure they know what you need, and they can tell you if they're qualified, your expectations, your goals for VBS, and they they need to know the schedule. Maybe you can you even have job summaries that you can give them. And I just realized I left something off about deciding how many you need, because you've already talked about all those all the rotations, all the different things you are planning to have, and you got to figure out how many leaders, workers, helpers you need in all those places, and make sure they understand. And maybe that I was thinking about this today is when we start talking about registration, there's some jobs that you really just need 1 or 2 days from. So, and there's people that can give you a day or two that can't give you of the whole week. But we need to give them the resources and the training and the information they need to be successful. Don't ever forget to do gospel conversation training with your volunteers. Even with your teenagers, whoever you have that helps, have a gospel conversation training for them, to make them aware of how important it is, because it is critical. Make sure you let your volunteers know the safety and security procedures for your church, and teach them to be intentional, to be intentional about how they talk to kids, be intentional about how they talk to parents and families, to always be on the lookout for what needs to be done and how they can help. Anybody that you can enlist that is intentional will be so worth it in all of this. I mean, yes, they need to get their material and learn how to use it. That's the easy part. But getting them involved in the intentionality is important. And this doesn't necessarily fit this topic, but don't forget to support and appreciate your volunteers. You can't do it without them. Make sure they know you appreciate them. All right. I'm gonna ask you to put in the chat your best volunteer appreciation ideas. And we will look at them at the end.
And everyone who puts one in there, I'll send them something special.
Oh, all right. We'll see if any of them have one of the ones I have. I have some I hadn't seen before. All right.
So put those
All right.
in there.
We're going to move to task 3, to promote and publicize. Now, I'm just going to give you basics here, because in this March Madness, there's going to be a webinar on promotion and publicity. So be sure to get there for that one. But of course, we need to promote it and publicize it early. Many families make their summer plans the first of the year, so we may already be late. Uh, so we need to get dates out ASAP, about when we're doing things. That was I'm getting out of order here, but anyway, enlist a team. You've got people that are creative on Facebook with things. You've got people that are creative with decorations because this is part of it. You've got people that are so pull a team together that you can turn it over to. They'll bounce things off of you, but don't think you got to do it all. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. Come on. Use variety of ways to promote and publicize, and we're going to hit on some of those. But don't think you have to do it the same way every time. Our world is changing, and they don't see some of the ways we used to do it, that we used to promote. Customize your promotion. You can get things with your church's name. Many of you probably even do this already, to get your church's name on the things that you send out for VBS, or if you make your own, make sure you customize it to fit you. But don't forget how much a personal invitation will do to for somebody to actually come. Just handing them a flyer or sending them an email, an in-person personal invitation about how much you would desire them to be at VBS makes a huge difference. All right. We are continuing this task 3 with looking at the 2 different ways of promoting and publicizing. You have things that you do in your church, through your church, that's really to get your church excited and eager, and then for them to continue to go out and share. And then there's what you do for the whole community, or wherever you are, to get the word out. So our church promotion includes our decorations, bulletin boards, skits, and even bulletin inserts, even our enlistment videos and our training. All of those things are part of how we promote in our church. Whoops, went backwards. Sorry. And then in our community, we have a whole lot of other ways that we may do it. Whether we pass out flyers at community events, news releases, social media announcements, and event things, promotional banners outside your church. That's for your community. If you distribute brochures with a mailing or something like that, door hangers. Some of you got some of those. We'll be getting some of those in the mail because you won them. So there's so many ways, and like I said, there's going to be so much more on the next webinar on promotion and publicity. This is another area I'm going to talk a little more in detail about, is registration, because there's not going to be another webinar on this. And registration can be the thing that you pull your hair out over, because it can be very stressful for directors, workers, and parents. But it doesn't have to be. So I'm going to give you a new acrostic that we want to be wet for registration. We want to be welcoming. We want to be efficient. We don't want to waste time. And we want to make sure we have the total information. So, how are we going to do that? Let's unwrap this. Of course, you need a team. Somebody that is in has it all under control, that they know what needs to be done and when to do it. um, and this is one of those places that you need about twice as many on the first day of VBS for enlistment as you do the rest of the week, because that's when you're going to get them. Um, and so get you a team, somebody that's good at details, making sure that all the dots are, all the T's are crossed and the I's dotted. Set a goal for registration. Now, you can set a goal for your VBS as to how many you want, but for registration, you should set a goal that 80% of the children or whoever it's going to be in your VBS get registered beforehand, pre-registered. If you can get that information out and get people registered beforehand, it will make your first day go so much easier, because they don't have to spend time filling out a paper or sitting on a computer registering for VBS, however you do that. And then think about portable options, okay? Clipboards is my go-to because you can hand out lots of clipboards and lots of pens and say, here, fill these out. If you do a online type of registration, iPads, Chromebooks, or computers on a cart where you can get them out and around, that's a great option. So, and think about portable as to take your registration to events and things that happen beforehand, so you can get more participants pre-registered, so that the registration team has done most of their work beforehand. And here's one of the keys, because you need to make sure that they fill out everything so that you have all you need. Capturing all the information is important, but making sure it's accurate is just as important. It's not just about VBS, but it's for allergies, it's for medical issues, it's for pickup at the end of the day, it's for follow-up. There, you need to make sure that information is accurate. Now, this team needs to make sure that they've followed all the your church's procedures and everything they want, as far as safety and everything that your church feels like they need to know for registration, and make sure all of that is done. Because you just think about, if you don't get some medical information on a child and something happens and you don't know what to do, because you didn't know, it can be critical. So make sure you know uh, uh, all that. Be thorough in making sure you get all the information. Um, but also remember, go back to the welcoming. People who don't attend your church, registration is likely to be the first interaction they have. So having a solid plan and a well-equipped registration team will make that first impression a good one. All right. I'm going to take a drink and swallow and move on to continuing the connection, or otherwise known as follow up. Phew. When we get to the end of VBS, we are all tired and we are ready to rest and relax. But VBS doesn't end when the last thing is done. You have built all this momentum with VBS. So having a plan in place for immediate follow-up is crucial to continuing that momentum. Now, I'm just going to give you some basics. This is another one. There's a webinar coming up in this March Madness on follow-up. But these are some of the basic things you need. You need somebody in charge of follow-up. That's not you. So maybe you've got somebody that can't be there for VBS, but they're available to do follow-up. They're available on weekends and other times that weren't part of VBS, and they are outgoing and encouraging. And so think about that. Somebody that's got organizational skill and big ideas to create strategies that you can start before VBS and follow through after. That's why it's important that registration information is so important, is right. Because follow-up doesn't start when VBS is over. It starts before VBS, as you make a plan and have strategies in place to follow up. And as you think about follow-up and continuing the connection, embrace relationship building approaches. Our follow-up is about much more than postcards or letters, thank you for attending. It's about relationships. When you look at follow-up through the lens of relationship instead of a task, it changes your whole perspective on that. It's not just trying to get people into your church. It may be trying to get people into the church they need to be in. But it's building relationships so that when they do need you, they know who to come to. And as you work through this, you bridge VBS with the other ongoing programs for your kids in your church, or for all of your church. So think about having your staff and your key leaders that maybe aren't deep into VBS, but yet they're a main part of your church. Getting them connected with follow-up and having them involved. It may not be they're involved in the day-to-day of the VBS, but they're involved in the kickoff things. They're involved in the um, your celebration event, so that their faces and people that they know, and they are making relationships with them throughout that time. Because if they can become familiar to families, that makes it easier for families to connect with them. Because a family comes back to your church a week or so after VBS and sees, oh, I know them. I know them. That's a win. That's a win. So think about connection, because that's important. And I'm going to leave you in this with this. This was something that astounded me when I was part of this conference. According to research, the retention rate is highest when you follow up within 48 hours. So follow up within the first 24 hours averages an 85% return, while a 7-day follow-up averages only a 15% return. That's why the plan needs to be in place before, so that follow-up starts immediately. I know this one's blank at the moment, but it's not going to be. As you do this, as you plan, as you prepare, always go back to why. Why do we kill ourselves and put ourselves out there? All right. What do we have that I'm gonna get out of this?
Well, we had some really great appreciation ideas.
Oh, I want to hear them.
Yeah. So a lot of people do food, which is, one of our faves. They have rooms that they have food in there for their
A
folks.
break room.
Yep. Now, all of you that are out there watching and listening, I'm going to compile all of these ideas, and I'll be sending those with all the information on on our tip sheet that Jan's working on, and we'll be good to go. But some give out gift cards, some give out gift bags, some do. It says we have a special room with all the treats, cheesecake, and all the stuff for we recognize people prior to VBS. We pray for them.
Yep.
They give a gift before they even start VBS, which is always a nice thing. One church hosts a dinner, handwritten notes,
Yep.
special snacks, free VBS t-shirt. Custom water bottles have been nice. Yep. An ice cream social at the end of the week, diplomas and a t-shirt. So lots of good ideas there.
Okay, there's one you haven't said that I had never heard of before.
Okay.
Provide childcare 20 minutes before and after VBS for those workers. Give them that
Okay.
time to get their room ready, before and after, to give some childcare in there to help out.
That's right, because you would have a class for them, so you're saying before them. Yeah, that's a great idea. Never heard that one.
Me either.
Yeah,
So I thought it was great.
yeah.
All right.
Water day for all volunteers. That's a good one, Mark. I like that idea. That's awesome. Good. All right. And I appreciate what you said, about, planning ahead of time. And I think that, she mentioned prayer a couple of times, but I can't say enough about, making sure that you have that prayer covering.
Yep.
And as Jan said, you have everybody in your church can pray. And I will say that, because we do it at our church, but the thing that our folks really appreciate is when I give them prayer points, because some people say, well, I don't really know how to pray. So I always do a sheet in the bulletin, a couple of sheets. I actually do it twice, a couple of months prior, and then just before VBS. I actually put in our bulletin the pre-registered folks, and I just put their first name and last initial. And then I asked them to be praying specifically for those that are on the list. And so I think, again, you had mentioned the fact that there are all sorts of people that we can engage in our Vacation Bible School. We just need to make sure that we're impacting them. So yeah, great stuff.
I have to tell you, I had a woman that prayer was her gift,
Yeah,
and and she came, and we had a room specially for her
yep,
on site, and it was great because we gave her the uh the rosters of every class, and she prayed for every child by name.
wow.
And if we had something come up, we
Mhm.
could go in there and say, oh, this is happening, can you pray for it?
Right,
it
right.
was it was amazing.
Great. That's the way it needs to be.